To start, I want to share a couple of stories with you. The first story is from the Talmud. It's about 4 rabbis who entered Gan Eden. The first rabbi's name was Ben Azai, there was Ben Zoma, there was Acher, and there was Rabbi Akiva. So they go into Gan Eden, and Ben Azai stares at the divine presence and immediately dies. Ben Zoma stares at the divine presence and he becomes mentally unstable. It's explained that Acher looked and he became a denier of God. His whole spiritual stature just became crazy and it just plummeted and he became a denier. What happened to Rabbi Akiva, the 4th rabbi? So it's explained that Rabbi Akiva, it says, and this is a quote from the Gemara, it says, he entered in peace and he left in peace. So obviously he left. Let's analyze this statement though. What does it mean, he entered in peace and he left in peace? You already told me that he entered. So all you really have to tell me now is that he left in peace. You don't have to tell me that he entered. I already know he entered. He entered with the other rabbis. So it's explained that the reason it says he entered, the reason it has to tell me that he entered again, is to stress a very important message. And that is, how is he able to leave in peace from Gan Eden, although the other rabbis were affected negatively? Because he entered in peace. It was because he entered in peace that he was able to leave in peace. What does it mean, entering in peace? It means he entered with the right mindset. He knew he was entering a very holy place, and he could have decided that I want to stay here with the holiness, but he knew, unlike the other rabbis, that he had a mission in this world. He had to come back. Because he entered with that mindset that I'm going here, but it's only temporary, that's why he left in peace. It was because he entered in peace, because he entered with the right mindset, that's why he left in peace. That's the first story. The second story is pretty famous. It's about the sons of Aaron the priest, and it says about them, Nadav and Avihu were their names, that they entered the Holy of Holies without being commanded to, and they immediately died. So Chassidus explains that what was going on over here was that they had such a longing to cleave to Hashem, to cleave to God, they couldn't hold themselves back, and so they went all out, went to the Holy of Holies. They had no intention to return. They wanted to give themselves up to God, and that's why they died. That was their mistake. They wanted to leave this world and just connect to godliness. But that's not the ultimate intention of God. They forgot about their purpose in life. They have a mission in this world. They have to stay here doing mitzvos, refining the world. That's why they died, because they made that mistake. Third story, another example of the same idea, is the story of Shavuos. Why do we stay up? Why do you stay up the whole night of Shavuos? Because back then, that night, the Jews decided that how are they going to get close to God? They went to sleep. Why? Why'd they go to sleep on such an auspicious time? Because they thought when we go to sleep, our souls will ascend, they'll go up to God, and they'll be closer to God that way. When our souls are in the body, we can't connect so much. But when our souls leave us, that's the best connection we can have. So that's what they thought. No, God said. God said, you're wrong. You're supposed to be in a body. That's not what He wanted. In this world, He wanted, doing their mission in this world, in a body. And that's why we have to rectify their mistake by staying up all night on the night of Shavuos. And last story, my favorite story. The Alter Rebbe was learning Chassidus with Rabbi Avram HaMalach. Rabbi Avram was the son of the Maggid of Mizrich. And they got into it. They were learning, studying very deep concepts for a good amount of time. Afterwards, the Alter Rebbe, when they finished, the Alter Rebbe went and ate a bagel with butter, or a bagel with butter, however you want to say it. Rabbi Avram HaMalach was astounded and a little angry with the Alter Rebbe. You just learned the deepest concepts in Chassidus. And what do you do afterwards? Eat a bagel? Not just a bagel, but a bagel with butter. I mean, back then, they were obviously holy people, and back then this eating was a pretty coarse act. So the Alter Rebbe explained to him. He said, I was learning, and I was so involved with my learning, I felt like my soul was literally about to expire and leave my body. I had to find a way to bring myself back down to earth. How do I do this? How do I bring myself back to this physical world? I had to eat something physical. I ate a bagel with butter. My way of bringing myself back down to earth. Those are my stories. Let's talk business now. What do these stories have to do with us? With you? You have a soul. Where did this soul come from? From a pretty lofty, high place where godliness is openly revealed. To be exact, this comes from the Chachma of Hashem. The Chachma of Hashem is the highest level in the divine configuration. That would be the most complicated word you will hear me say all night. So you have this soul, and it's chilling with God. Then God comes over to him and says, you're going downstairs. The soul must now come down and clothe itself in a body, in a physical body, where it has a pretty hard time expressing itself. In fact, those times where you have those spiritual highs, those divine inspirations out of nowhere, that's your soul basically expressing itself, getting out of the exile of the body. So it's pretty safe to say that the soul is not comfortable. It's not comfortable in the body at all, and it really wants to go back to its original source, its original home. The more you get involved with godliness, the more excited the soul becomes. Obviously, this just makes the soul the soul more eager to leave the body, to go up back to God. But it can't. As long as you live, the soul with the body have a mission in this world to fulfill. Now, I'll introduce two terms to you. That desire to leave the body is what we call Rotzu. Rotzu means longing. The realization that the soul has, he has a mission to accomplish, to fulfill the ultimate intention of making this world a house for God. So that realization is what we call Shuv, which sort of means to settle down. A wonderful example can be found by a candle. Looking at a candle. The fire is constantly flickering upwards. Why? Because it wants to go back to its original source. The wick holds it down. The fire is the soul, and the wick is the body. As long as there is both the wick and the flame, the candle has a purpose. And what's its purpose? To spread light. That's exactly why you're here in this world, to spread light. The light of Torah, the light of Chassidus, the light of God. Even the smallest amount of light can dispel the greatest amount of darkness. In chapter 4 of Ethics of Our Fathers, so the Mishnah tells us, and it's a very strange statement, it says like this: against your will you live, and against your will you will die. Now obviously this requires explanation. Against your will you will live makes it sound like the will of the person is to get out of the coarse body. I don't want to live. I don't want to stay in the body anymore. However, against your will you will die makes it sound like, no, I want to stay here. I don't want to die. And therefore it's against my will to die. So what's going on here? Based on what was explained earlier, and also based on what it's explained in chapter 50 of Tanya, is as follows. A person must constantly be in a state of longing, Rotzu, and at the same time settling, Shuv. Meaning, on the one hand, the person should want to leave the exile and imprisonment of the body. Why? To connect to God. However, because the intention of that very same God was to have a dwelling place in this physical coarse world, the person knows he has to stay here. He has a purpose here. So that's against your will you live. Why? I really don't want to be here. I really want to connect to God. I want to leave my body. But listen, soul, you got a mission here. You got to stay. So it's against my will to live. However, because you really want to go and fulfill that intention of creating a house for God, and that intention is so strong by you, when you ultimately leave the body, when you ultimately pass away, it's also against your will. Because you felt that connection with God in the body. I have a mission in this world. I have a purpose in this world. So eventually when you die, it's against your will. You want to continue doing that mission. So that's my talk. But is it just talk, or does this pertain to you? Does this pertain to us? In the Rebbe's words, as he put in a sikha, in a talk that he gave in 1962, that all this sounds great, Rotzu, Shuv, body, yearning, etc. But it sounds like it's for very holy people who have this great yearning and longing to cleave to Hashem. We're simple people here. We don't have that constantly. What does this have to do with you? In other words, you don't want to leave your body. That would mean death. And who wants to die? So what are you to take from all of this? That's the Rebbes question. So the Rebbe explains that by every Jew, there are times when you feel holy. It can be on a holiday, or Shabbat, or by a Farbrengen, a Chassidic gathering. You all have such moments in your lives. And these are good, and you should make these moments real. Let them completely take over you. But after, let's take for example Passover. After a holiday of Passover, where for 8 days we're sitting together celebrating our freedom, and it comes the Su'udah Shamashiach, where some of you or most of you have to have felt something, God talking to you over the Passover holiday. Now Passover is over. So you felt pretty spiritual, now it's over. Tomorrow is a regular work day. Or is it? You see, whether or not your Passover high, let's call it, affects your day-to-day life, depends on what your mindset was going into Passover. Was it to leave the worries of this world and just connect to God? Was it like Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, and Acher? Was it like Nadav and Avihu? It's not bad, God forbid. It's just missing the whole point. If you enter Passover or any holiday with the intention that you wanted to penetrate your life, you wanted to affect your day-to-day life, you went in with the right mindset to refine this world, then yes, your workday tomorrow will be a different day. You need that shuv. You need that settle down. I just had a spiritual high. Let's make a resolution. What does this all mean to me practically? Now that spiritual high can become internalized and affect tomorrow's workday. There must always be that combination of Rotzu and Shuv. Whatever or whenever you have a spiritual high, you must have that practical application, that resolution that comes afterwards. What's that practical application? Torah, mitzvahs, davening. Any step that refines yourself, refines others, refines the world. And in conclusion, you have a mission in this world. And that mission was spelled out pretty clearly by all the Rebbeim. And that is Karavelt. Turn over the world. Refine it. And sometimes you're not in the mood. You're not in a comfortable place. You must know that you're there for a reason. My dad wasn't sent to Gur Hills for no reason. Did he want to be in a place where barely anyone kept Shabbos at first? Not really. But he knew there are sparks here waiting to be ignited, waiting to be revealed. Those sparks number I don't know, a few hundred, maybe a few thousand today. And he's not done. Think about all the sparks that the Rebbe ignited, and he's not done either. You could be at work, and I know sometimes people like to separate their work from their Judaism, but maybe there's a Jew who sits close to you in the other office, and he's never been to a Shabbos meal. That's your spark for you to ignite. So you must go out and refine the world. Even someone who learns all day, you got to go out. Leave your home, leave yeshiva, go on mivtzayim. I'm not saying to all those yeshiva bachrim to leave and drop out, chas v'shalom. I'm saying you got to learn, and there has to be time for mivtzayim. Go out from your comfort zone. So you have your job here. You know it. But you can't, at the same time, you can't get too comfortable here. You need to have that rotzu. You must know that you're in exile, and you got to get out of it. How do we get out of it? By bringing Mashiach. How do we bring Mashiach? Chasing those sparks.